Hey everybody, it's Jason. Welcome to Masters of the Universe, the board game, the Clash for Eternia Box of Power video number 5 for all the stretch goal unlocks. So again, in case this is your checking on part 5 before the rest, quick recap on the other 4 videos. Part 1 was all the quick tokens, components, cards, extra little miniatures and stuff like that. Parts 2 and 3, we went through all of the hero characters. 2 went through like the basis of the regular like general masters of the universe. Part 3 went through some of the allies and alternative figures. Part 4 we started the villains. We went through the other factions, the characters from the Horde or the Snake Men, as well as a few of the outlier characters from the evil forces. And then this one we're gonna go through the last 6 or 8, 9, 10 characters. So this one might be a little bit longer than some of the other ones. But just to have the rest of some of the more notable Evil Forces Skeletor team characters, as well as some alternate characters as well. Alright, so without further ado, let's jump in and see what we have. We're going to start with our good old friend here, Whiplash. Zoom my camera back up. Alright, so Whiplash, of course, has a spear attack. 3 range, may target 1 enemy up to 2 spaces away. It makes perfect sense. And Hardened Scales. Defense boost. Roll 3 dice. For each melee, gain 1 defense. For each Grayskull, gain 1 defense, and the attacker suffers 1 wound. Oh, that's sweet. Now he can hit from a distance. If they get close, they're going to have to worry about taking damage, and he can potentially block up to 3 damage. And then the fact is, if the dice, I'm believing the dice, I think it's 2, 2, and 2. I think it's 2 melee, 2 ranged, and 2 Grayskulls. So, I mean, he has a decent chance of blocking with all of his hits. Cool, can't wait to see what his actual skills are. But before that, let's get the controller side. He has Tail and Pale. Which almost rhymes. 3 melee, attack boost. A target may attack 1 enemy up to 2 spaces away, and attack boost, roll 2 dice and ignore the defense, or ground smash. Spawn 1 boulder adjacent to Whiplash. Yay! Spawning tokens. Love that. Surge, all enemies adjacent to Whiplash become dazed. And then empowered. Ground smash's surge cost is reduced by 1, and all enemies in 2 spaces of Whiplash become dazed. So rather than actually doing damage, he smashes into the ground, puts a boulder out, and dazes everybody. And the fact that it becomes 1 less, and it's a bonus action. So it's a free bonus action to spawn, and then you can spend 1 to surge it. And then that boulder can provide some good cover for your stuff. So it's actually kind of fun. You provide damage or block around you. And then his AI version has Tail and Pale. If this rolls at least 3 Grayskull results, tail the enemy. Oh boy. Attack boost, roll 2 dice and ignore the defense. Oh, even just a 3 normally, that'd be really hard to do, but that'd be impressive. And now you can get up to 5 dice. Sweet. And then ground smash. Spawn 1 boulder adjacent to Whiplash. If there's an enemy within 4 spaces, make 1 boulder attack against the enemy with the lowest HP. Do not destroy the boulder. Instead, place it in the closest space adjacent to the enemy. So that's fun. So you can normally just pick up and throw a boulder anyhow, or you can use it for defense, but just AI gives you the ability to do it automatically. Alright, then let's look at his miniature. We'll like to do. This guy really, I mean, he has that look of him like he's the big dumb brute. Like, alright. He's the guy that's just gonna walk around smashing people with his tail, throwing boulders at people. My instinct just by looking at him would be like the Bebop or Rocksteady of the He-Man universe. Probably followed by the next guy, who probably like a tag team between the 2 of them. Which we'll get into. Ground Smash. Bonus action, spawn 1 boulder adjacent to Whiplash. So he gets this with his base ability, or his player version now. And then all enemies in 2 spaces become dazed. But he also has Unexpected Cunning. Reaction. When an enemy within 4 spaces activates, if a Whiplash is not activated this round, perform any one bonus attack. Oh, so this is neat. Because lots of stuff have been if he activates before somebody. His is if he activates after somebody. He gets some bonus action. And then free boost attack. If attacking a character that is not activated this round, he may reroll any attack dice. Okay, cool. So if he attacks afterwards, he gets a bonus action. But if he attacks before, he gets a chance to reroll dice. So that's actually a neat idea. We have Tail Sweep. 4 melee. May target up to 2 spaces away. Hits all enemies within 2 spaces. Enemies wounded by this attack become dazed and may be pushed up to 1 space away from Whiplash. Pretty crowd clearing. Or he has Tail Leap. Move boost. Whiplash moves +1 space and ignores terrain penalties and models during this move. Move boost. After moving, Whiplash may perform 1 attack. Cool, that's even sweet, because you can use that and then jam him with a spear, or throw a boulder at him. It'd be kind of neat if you had the ability to flip that other card over, like Tail Leap, and then do a Tail Slash. But he can do Tail Impale, does 5 melee, ignores damage, may target up to 2 spaces away, and 1 success for each Grayskull rolled. He has this nice ability to attack from 2 spaces away. With having his extra defense, gonna make him hard to kill because he doesn't need to get next to you. And then Toss Aside. May target an enemy up to 2 spaces away. Push enemy wounded by this attack 1 space away from Whiplash for each wound dealt. If they end up adjacent to another model or terrain, they suffer +2 wounds. So he's already rolling 4 dice. So he can potentially throw someone up to 4 spaces away. And they can do extra wounds. That's cool. So this guy's definitely an interesting character. Because he's got some great defense built in right at the bat. Plus he can constantly hit from 2 spaces away. So melee characters are going to have to get right next to him. Ranged characters can still hit him from 4 spaces away, but he doesn't need to get as close to them. So if you have a character that has like a ranged attack, but they have a melee attack as well, he doesn't have to get within their melee range either. So that's actually pretty neat. Then let's look at our next one, which I kind of say was the counterpart. If like he's Bebop or Rocksteady, this guy looks like he's probably the other half. This is Clawful. Again, looks like the big dumb brute kind of character. Not saying they necessarily are in this story. That's just, initial looking at them. That's what you think. They're the 2 big bruiser guys that hang out next to each other. So he has Mace, 3 melee. Attack boost gains +1 success for every 2 wounds Clawful has suffered. And then Karakoni Shell, I think that's how I'm saying that, right? Karakoni Shell. Defense boost, gain 1 defense and an additional +1 for every 2 wounds Clawful has suffered. So he has a built-in defense as well. Which he can gain a lot more defense easily because he can have 2, 4, 6 damage. So he can gain an additional 4 if he's really, really been hurt. His controller side, he has Mace as well. 1 success for every 2 wounds Clawful has suffered. And then Destructive Advance. Move boost. Clawful moves 1 space and ignores all terrain, including walls of ruins, and may move through enemies during this move. Any enemy he moves through suffers 1 damage. This guy can walk through walls. Well, probably smash through walls, rather. Empowered. Clawful gains 1 defense for every 2 wounds he has suffered. So that's even better with this for his base one. So as he takes more damage, he gains a better boost for his attacks, and he gains defense. And then this guy can just run through walls. Or terrain, or forests, or whatever. That's awesome. And then we have his AI version, which has Claw or Mace as well, and then Crush. All adjacent enemies become dazed. During their next activation, they roll -1 attack dice. You can surge this to give them 1, 2, or 3 wounds. Oh boy, that's exciting. I know it's AI, so it's gonna only do what it can do, but still, that's like extra just straight up wounds. I'm terrified of some of these AI guys. I'm not even joking. However, I keep reading comments about this game where they're like, oh, the AI is not that good because there's only so many missions and things like that. But I'm like looking at their abilities. I'm like, but they have some devastating abilities. I know they're not going to perform them as well as a human player might, but the fact that they're going to be able to do them is crazy. So here's Clawful's miniature. Oh, yeah, little bump scales on his legs. He's got the spine. He's got his big giant mace. I love that he's a claw. He's a crab, clearly. So he has the one giant claw, like lobster type claw. And his other hand is basically normal. I mean, it's still a claw, but it's a little tiny claw. So if, like, we again look at his artwork, you know, one big claw, one tiny claw. I just love that as the aesthetic. Like, they tried to make them look like they're animals. Alright, let's look at his attacks. He has Deadly Grip. If an enemy is wounded by this attack, during their next activation, they roll -1 attack die. Cool, so he kind of like pinches them so they can't attack as much, or he gets crushed. After completing this attack, if an enemy was wounded, they must pay 1 power or suffer 1 wound. Surge, that enemy must pay an additional 1 power or suffer 1 wound. Nice. So yeah, they have to spend power, they take damage. Never a bad thing to have. Destroy terrain. Action. Target one adjacent rock, forest, or deadly plant. Remove that terrain from the battlefield. Bonus action. Flip this skill over. So not only can he's gonna get an ability that's gonna let him run through walls. Because that's not his base ability. That was on the controller side. But here he can just smash through rocks, forests, or deadly plants and removing that terrain. That's fun. What's the other side do? You don't want to destroy the terrain. You can smash in advance. While moving, Clawful ignores all terrain, including walls of ruins. May move through enemies this turn. Suffers 1 wound. Flip this skill over. So that's fun. So if there are ruins, you can do this to get through them. Or run through whatever, or he can do the other one just to get rid of them and out of the way. Hey, I have a bunch of ranged characters. This stuff's in my way, or we're trying to move through here. Just destroy it. That's pretty fun. Alright, then he has for his red, Slicing 2. These bonus actions may be made multiple times per activation. Each time Clawful KOs a model with the skill, he may heal 1. Cool, so he takes damage already, and then he can use stuff, gains defense, but now he can heal. Bonus action, he has to spend to do it, but he KOs an adjacent minion, or he KOs an enemy character with 3 or less remaining HP. Nice. So he can, like, hey, I'm gonna go hide in the ruins. He can just run through the wall. This is definitely a fun ability. Plus, you just straight up KO minions. And if he has 4 points, you can just KO 4 of them, and he heals 4. Yeah, his attack will do less. He'll take less, has less defense, but he won't die. Or he has, Karakoni Frenzy, free bonus action. If Clawful is not dazed, he may gain 2 power. At the end of his activation, he becomes dazed. Oh, I don't think we've seen a single character that's inflicted themselves with a status condition. So that's neat. Bonus action. Clawful suffers 2 wounds, then he performs 1 attack. Okay, that's actually kind of nice, because he does it, but then he automatically gains 1 extra success if he uses attack boost, or he has his defense boost to gain an extra shield. So that actually sets him up nice for that. Plus, gaining that 2 energy at that first one will let him use his defense. So he can do that, gain it, and then he can have his extra defense. Although becoming dazed does lower his regular defense as well, but it might be useful. Awesome. That's Clawful. Very interesting take on a character. Destroying terrain, running through walls. I love it. Alright, up next we have the third, I guess, in the trio of big, bulky characters. We have Spikor. So another character, the Mace. Big pin cushion. So he has Spike Club. 3 melee, attack boost, roll 1 die and ignore defense. Spike exterior. Spiker never suffers escape damage. Defense boost melee only. Roll 3 dice. For each melee, the attacker suffers 1 wound. That definitely makes sense. So if someone runs up and hits him, they're going to take damage. Doesn't potentially up to 3. Yeah, and he can escape people. So he can run right in and do his melee attacks and not have to worry about running away. Alright, Club and Trident. So I'm guessing his trident is his little hand there. So 3 attack or 3 melee or 3 range attack boost. If this wounds an enemy, push that enemy to the closest adjacent space. So pull them towards them. And Spike Rush. Push Spiker up to 3 spaces. 3 spaces. He may move through and end on enemies during his move. Push any enemies he ends on 1 space. After moving, roll 3 dice. For each enemy he moved through or ended on, they gain, for each melee, they suffer 1 wound. And then Empowered. Enemies suffer 1 wound after any action they complete adjacent to Spiker. That's cool too. So if they do a ranged attack, or any action, so they perform any type of bonus action to do something different, or trying using escape, with moving, they're going to take extra damage as well. So that's actually really fun. It's kind of standing around and let people punish him. His AI version has Club and Trident as well. This attack wounds an enemy, push him closer to him, or roll 1 die and ignore. So kind of the combination. And then Spike Rush as well. This does basically the same thing. Roll 3 dice, they suffer 1 wound. Nice. So that's pretty cool. Alright, let's look at his specific abilities and his miniature. There's his miniature with all his spikes. You can see his big club or mace up there. Now, these spikes are not sharp, so I'm pushing on this. This does not hurt, just FYI for that. So they're not like really shiny. There's his trident, though. Yeah, definitely neat. I like how it's almost like a hair and body armor versus like he's just a pufferfish or something. You know, like he just has like a hardened spiked shell. Like it's actually something he's wearing. Like he has a spiky head, so he's like, hey, you have a spiky head, let's give you spiky armor. Kind of idea. It says Trident Skewer, 3 melee. Reaction: when enemies adjacent move spaces, perform 1 Trident Skewer attack, targeting them. If they suffer any wounds, they do not move. Flip this skill over. Cool, so if they do try and get away, you can stab them. Or he has Trident Pull. If this wounds an enemy, push that enemy into the closest space adjacent to Spiker, and then flip this skill over. So yeah, so you can pull him towards them, and then you can use the Trident to hold them in spot. We've seen other very similar attacks to that. He gets his Spike Rush, which lets him move up to 3 spaces, through enemies or end on their space. Push any enemies he ends on 1 space. After moving, roll 3 dice. For each enemy he moved through or ended on, for each melee they gain 1 wound. Yeah, just run through them. Let them take damage. And then Spike Slash. 4 melee. After performing this attack, all enemies adjacent to Spiker suffer 1 wound. Reaction: when adjacent enemies move, they suffer 2 wounds. Yeah, so this guy's just bad to be next to. Is pretty much what we're seeing here. And then Enhanced Spikes. Boost. Attack boost, roll 2 dice. Bonus action, deal all adjacent enemies 1 wound. And Surge: when Spiker uses non-attack skills that roll dice or deal wounds, he rolls +1 or deals +1 wound. Interesting. So that means if he uses like above bonus action, he deal 2 wounds. Or if he does his rush, his Spike Rush here, because it's not an attack, it says any non-attack skill that rolls dice or deal wounds is +1 dice. So now he rolls 4 dice, and they take 2 damage. So that's actually a pretty crazy ability. Plus, we have that. I'm going to look at that in just a sec. So he has Spike and Steer defense boost. Roll 3 dice, he gets 4 dice, and it does 2 damage as well. So he can just do straight up damage without having to... Even rolling dice isn't so bad then. Evil Warrior Blacksmith. Spiker may use these boosts on himself or any ally. Gain 1 defense, 2 defense, or attacks whose any attack boosts. We can shut down opponent's attack boosts. Nice. That's kind of a different one. Plus, he can defense themselves. Yeah, just look at these 3 guys we've had so far. If you put them together, you have one guy that's going to stay a couple spaces away and hit from a distance. You have one guy that's going to move through anything that's in his way. And the other guy's like, he's just going to rush in and hit guys. So it's a very, very interesting, like, triple combo there. Alright, let's go for our next monster-y type character. We have Webster, who is the only guess with this. Now, it's kind of interesting that Webster doesn't have, like, extra arms. I would thought he would have at least, like, 2 extra arms sticking out his back, even if they're, like, small ones. But that's alright. So, he's going to start with a laser rifle. 3 range, reaction after rolling a die, reroll any attack dice. And then Webmaster. Webster ignores web tokens. Bonus action, place up to 2 web tokens within 4 spaces of Webster. Alright, so let's look at our terrain card, which was shown in the first video. So we'll go back to that. Web, little special tokens, we have 6 of those. They're double-sided. Well, inside this terrain, character attacks roll -1 dice and cannot use defense boost. Terrain penalty. Models must pay 2 spaces of movement to enter or leave this terrain. So yeah, having web is not good, but Webster here has the ability to just straight up ignore it, which makes sense. He's probably the one placing him down to begin with. Well, he does. Place up to 2 web tokens in 4 spaces of Webster. And that can shut down some enemies. He has laser rifle again. After rolling attack dice, rerolling the attack dice or attack boost, this becomes a bonus action. And then Webmaster, same thing. Empowered. When enemy within 4 spaces activates, Webster may pay 2 power to place 1 web token in their space. Cool. So if he activates, you can just automatically, instead of placing 2 during your turn, within spaces of you, you can just place it one directly on an enemy outside of your turn, which will then give them that blah blah blah, would give them the restriction. So if they try and attack you from there, now they're going to -1 dice. Or if they need to move off you, they're going to have to spend more points to move. And so if they're up to 4 spaces away, so I mean, if they were 4 spaces away, you get 3 movement points per every move action. And they already must pay 2 to exit it. So that means they have to spend 3 to move off of the tile, 2 to go at once. So they have to basically spend their entire move action just to get off that tile. If you throw a couple more webs in front of them, every move action is 1 tile. You know, that could really hinder someone. That's always fun. And then we have AI version of laser rifle, which you've seen, and webbing. Place 1 web token on all characters within 4 spaces. He just sploots it out on everybody. Alright, let's look at his abilities. Rapid Fire. Ooh, a little preview there. Yeah, so there's him with his battle armor, his grappling hook, which is attached to a backpack, and a blaster rifle. So, you know, he's sort of weird just because he's like supposed to be a spider. He has all these web attacks. It almost seems like he's like a manufactured spider. Because he has like a grappling hook now. He can apparently shoot webs out, but he doesn't seem like a typical spider. But then, you know, who knows, there might have been restrictions on making full-on 8-legged spider characters back then. I'm not sure. Rapid Fire, bonus action, perform 1 laser rifle attack. So he gets an extra bonus attack from his laser rifle. Or we can flip it over and give him Quick Web. Defense boost, place 1 web token in the attacker's space. If Webster suffers no wounds from this attack, you may push him up to 2 spaces away. Or push him up to 2 spaces. Okay, cool. So, if he's being attacked, you can go ahead and web them. And then, yeah, neat. So yeah, you need, yeah, that's cool. Oh, and we got everything. Grappling hook. Bonus action. Target character or terrain within 5 spaces. Push Webster into the closest space adjacent to that character / terrain. If this targets an enemy, they suffer 2 wounds. So you can basically grab something and move towards it. That's definitely fun. I wonder if you could use this to get up on terrain. That would be an interesting question. Closest space adjacent to that character terrain. So if they're like standing on top of like a bunch of rocks, could you use it to climb up on the rocks? Or if they're in the forest, you throw it at them and pull into there. Or I wonder if you if it's a line of sight thing, like you'd have to you hit the forest, you'd have to target the forest before you could target them. That'd be an interesting little thing to just decide on how you'd want to do that. It also has Cocoon. Place 1 web token in the enemy's space. If it wounds the enemy, they become dazed. If this tails the enemy, they lose 1 action during their next activation. Oh, that's fun. So he wraps them up and at least dazes them. But if you can tail them, then they actually are weaker on the beginning of their next turn, which is really fun. Alright, then his last 2 abilities are Expert Strategist. Free reaction at the start of the round, guess the first controller activation card, then reveal it. If correct, it still gains 2 power. Cool, so you have a chance every time to gain 2 power. But it's a 1 out of 3 option. Or 4 option, I guess, because technically you have the strategy card. Unless the strategy card's always the last. Strategy card might always be the last card. Reaction. At the start of an enemy activation, Webster or 1 ally from 4 spaces performs a bonus action. Helping your teammates out, nothing wrong with that. On the other side, we have Spider Agility. Move boost. Webster ignores escape damage and may move through enemies. Place 1 web token on each of their spaces. Defense boost. Roll 2 dice and gain the following based on the results. Target or range gain 1 defense. And then attacker must roll any successes for each Grayskull castle. So not bad. He's a different character. The webs. I think they could have done more with the webbing. I think other than just him placing them, and it just does that. Like, he doesn't have any interaction with them. Like Mossman interacted with the Moss tokens. Frosty interacted with her Frost tokens. Did stuff with that. You know, like all the other characters seem to do something. Like they place the tokens, or they can move the tokens, or blow them up to get rid of them. And he just kind of I have webs. I can throw them down, and then now it's a hindering terrain. And he doesn't do anything special with them. Realistically, so I don't know what you would do with them because they're webbing. I would have been he does have like web shots because you can shoot them out. Might have been something neat like extra sticky web, like also like attaches, like hits an enemy, targets, hits multiple enemies next to it, something like that could have been kind of neat. Yeah, or pulling guys directly into your web, something like that. I don't know. There could have been more, I think. Alright, let's head to our next character. Alright, here's our next animal-themed character. We have Stinkor, everyone's favorite smelly toy. He had some sort of odor with him. He does have a shield, so you have the 1 defense. He starts with Laser Pistol, 3 attack boost, which becomes a bonus action, very common for those Laser Pistol attacks. And then Stink Cloud. Place up to 2 Stink Cloud tokens within 2 spaces of Stinkor. So very close to how Webster worked, basic gun attack token. But the Stink Cloud, which you'll also get 6 of, which are double-sided. Which means have the same picture on both sides. Terrain penalty. Models beginning their activation or moving into this terrain become dazed. Models performing attacks while in this terrain will roll -1 attack die. So no penalty for getting in or out of it other than becoming dazed. And you do get that -1 attack because you're shooting through a cloud. At the end of the round, roll 1 die for each Stink Cloud. On a melee, remove the tokens. If someone like swatted it away with their sword. Interesting. So that's like the only terrain so far that like once it's placed, it's gonna automatically just get rid of itself. Let's see what he does for his controller side. Stink Beam, 3 ranged. Attack boost, place 1 Stink Cloud on the enemy token, or this becomes a bonus action. Stink Cloud, place up to 2 Stink Cloud tokens within 2 places of Stinkor. Empowered, enemies moving into or beginning their activation in Stink Cloud lose 1 power. Ooh, that makes it even more powerful. Because before, yeah, dazing always sucks. They lose defense, lose movement. In it, they lose the attack, but then this will also make them lose power, which penalizes them even more. Alright, then we have AI, who also has Stink Beam, same as the other one, and then Fumigate. Place 1 Stink Cloud token on each space adjacent to Stinkor. They move with him each time he moves this round. When completely surrounded by Stink Cloud tokens, Stinkor gains 2 defense. That is fun. He gets 6 clouds around him, and then as he moves, they're going to go with him. So as they run into other characters, they're going to do things. But as a reminder, it's any models that begin their activation or moving into this terrain. So if he's moving, they're technically moving into that terrain, become dazed. So as he's walking around, he's dazing basically everyone around him. I really hope we get that ability as a regular skill. It'll probably be slightly different. AIs are usually a little bit more powerful. Alright, but here is his miniature. So he's got like a breathing apparatus and a little tank there. I think that's, if I remember, that's not to produce the stink, it's to try and control the stink. Or it's to give him oxygen so that he can breathe around his own potential stink. I believe it's that one. Like, he's always producing a smell, but he has to have his own thing so that he doesn't pass out from his own smell. He has Stink Beam, place 1 Stink Cloud on enemy space, and becomes a bonus action. Or Stink Blast, so it only has 2 for a range, but hits all enemies within 2 spaces. If those enemies are on Stink Cloud tokens, this attack ignores defense, and they cannot use defense bonuses and attack boost. This becomes a bonus action. So it doesn't hit as far as many dice, but the fact that it ignores defense and they can't use defense boost. So basically he rolls 2 dice for all enemies near him. Yeah, that could be very, very bad. He has Defensive Spray. If the attacker is on a Stink Cloud, this attack loses all its attack. This attack loses all its attack boosts. And then defense boost, place 1 Stink token on the attacker's space. So cool, so basically you could spend the 1 defense boost to put a cloud on there if you needed to, then the other one you could spend to shut down all their attack boosts, and they gain -1 attack. So that's a really decent power to have. And threw that one on the ground. We have Gag. When a character activates, you may remove 2 Stink Cloud tokens in 1 space of them. If you do, they lose 1 action this activation. So it kind of explodes them. And makes them suffer an action loss. Then as regular ones, we have Fumigate. Place 1 Stink Cloud token in each space around Stinkor. They move with him. While completely surrounded, he gains 2 defense. And keep knocking these off. Overwhelming Stench. Bonus action. Move any number of Stink Cloud tokens within 4 spaces. Each model that was within 1 space of these removed tokens suffer 2 wounds. This effect is cumulative. Oh, so that means like if they're next to like 2 of them, each model is in 1 space of a removed token. So if they're next to it, not necessarily within 1 space, they suffer 2 damage. So if the guy's next to 2 of them, he's going to gain a bunch of damage. That's pretty fun too. I'll also be interested to do the other one. Is that? Oh, it's on the same card, isn't it? Yeah, darn it. I was hoping you could Fumigate and then turn around, teleport him out of there, then blow someone up. That would have been funny, but yeah, unfortunately you can't flip that over. Yeah, that's really fun. So like the Stink Clouds aren't like maybe as powerful as some of the other terrains. They can potentially go away every turn. But unlike what I was just saying with Webster, where Webster didn't really use the tokens, he placed down the web tokens and then he was just done with them. They're there. That's what it is. He can utilize them as any sort of penalty terrain, but in that sense, they weren't really any different than like a forest or a boulder. It's just being something that's on the board that someone might have to run into or interact with. Where Stinkor here is actively using these stink clouds constantly. It's also fun because it hurts your characters as well, and himself. So it's a fun extra little mechanic there. Alright, up next we have a robot. We have Blast Attack. So this is kind of like the opposite version of Roboto. So if you're, most things like to have like, oh, if this is the good guy sorcerer, this is the bad guy sorcerer, this is the good guy beastie character, that's the bad guy strong guy. So this is kind of the opposite of Roboto. Blast Attack. He has Tech Axe, which is a giant Tech Axe. Attack boost hits all enemies within 2 spaces. And then Self-Destruct. All models, including Blast Attack, within 2 spaces suffer 2 wounds. Surge model suffers +1 wound, and Surge model suffers +3 wounds. That's ridiculous. So he can blow himself up, damaging everybody, within 2 wounds. If he surges it both times, it costs him all 5 of his power. He's done 3, 4, 5, 6 damage, which is almost all his health. So it doesn't quite kill him, but it will just about not quite kill everybody else too. But he can also still use his other action to do it. His Tech Axe attack first, if he needed to, or Tech Axe hit all enemies in 2 spaces, and then self-destruct, maybe doing an extra 2 damage. Just doesn't need a roll, or possibly 3 if he can only surge the 1 extra time. So he could potentially do. If he does his Tech Axe and boosts it, he could do potentially 3 damage there. Then he could boost to do another 3 for 6 that way for, a couple less energy. So that's pretty crazy. Let's see what his controller side does. Tech Axe hits element in 2 spaces, or if Blast Attack has 4 or less remaining HP, this becomes a bonus action. And then Self-Destruct as well, either does the same thing for Surge. If he has less health, he can then do free attack boosts, which make that even more powerful. And then Power. If Self-Destruct with KO Blast Attack, he instead remains conscious with 1 HP. So he can then do it another time. Because it doesn't matter if he takes 6 damage when he's at 1 health. That's pretty fun. Character that blows themselves up. The only way that's really going to make a difference in the game, and I've said this in some of the other videos, where I said there's no penalty for getting KO'd. When you're playing, you don't lose power, you don't lose activation turns, any of that. The only thing that's the downside of getting KO'd is there are some scenarios that will say you can only be KO'd. Good guys can only be KO'd 3 times, or can only be KO'd 6 times. If you have a guy that's purposely KOing himself, that's going to count towards your total. So you have to use this calculating. If you're not playing that, you're playing more of just the goal is to do this or do that, or play victory points. It's every time you KO an opponent or someone gets KO'd, they gain a point. Well, if you're going up to 10 points instead of 3, there might be, I'd sacrifice a few to get some extra kills out of it. Alright, so his AI version has Tech Axe, which is basically the same, and then Self-Destruct, which you've seen before. So he keeps the same abilities pretty much through all 3 forms. Let's look at his abilities and his miniature. Alright, so big old axe there, which looks like it has a gun on it. So I wonder if he's going to gain at least 1 ranged attack. But we'll have to see. Alright, we have Reform. Bonus action, heal 2. Surge, heal 2 more. Free bonus action. If Blast Attack has 4 or less remaining HP, flip this skill over. So as long as he's under 4 health, he can use Reform. He can gain basically up to his 4 health back. And he has 7 to begin with. So if he just uses the regular self-destruct and takes 2 damage, he can use the skill right away to go ahead and heal that for 2. Or if he does the next one, he can heal for another 2. And then he can flip it over. So while he is at higher health, it says split form. At the start of his activation, if blast attack has 5 or more remaining HP, flip the skill over. For some of blast attack skills gain bonuses split form and space up. Bonus action, perform any one action. So he has 5 or more remaining HP, flip the skill over. So he has to have taken at least a little bit of... Oh, okay, so cool. So they're assuming playing on self-destruct as it does 2 damage. It goes from 7 to 5 health. So if he drops below 5 health, it's just saying now instead of being a big giant guy, now he's like 2 small guys. He's split into 2 smaller forms, so he gets an extra action for that. But then once he goes above 5 health, and then this will let him start healing. Then he can do his free bonus action. If he has 4 or less remaining HP, you can flip this skill back over. So basically, if he's at 5 or higher, it's telling you have to be on this side, and that's saying if he has 4 or less remaining HP, so if he's at 5 or health higher, or 4 or less higher, you can flip this back over. So when he's at 7, 6, or 5 health, he can't use reform, essentially, is what they're trying to tell you. Alright, interesting. Axe combo. Free attack. Boost. If split form and space up, you may reroll any attack dice. If split form and space up, this becomes a bonus action, and you can flip this skill over. Cool. So yeah, if you have that once you're not trying to heal, you can gain bonuses to your axe combo. Or you have discharge. After being attacked, for each wound blast attack is suffered from the attack, roll 1 die. For each range rolled, enemies within 2 spaces suffer 1 wound. Flip this skill over. So you can switch back and forth. So if he's taking... So again, if he's in his one form, his split form, he's more powerful. He has a lot of bonuses, but he also has full health. And when his health starts dropping down, you can switch to his other sides to heal, or discharge to do extra spaces. And then he has split energy. If in split form and space up, roll 2 dice. Plus 2 dice. Reaction. After being attacked, even if KO'd, blast attack performs 1 attack targeting the attacker. And then bonus, flip this over. So again, yeah, he's in his higher health, he gets extra damage. And can then hurt other people if he does get KO'd. And then walking bomb. Blast attack does not award victory points when he is KO'd by his own skills. There we go. That's what we needed. So once you get to this thing, he can blow himself up left and right, and it won't hurt your points. Each time blast attack activates, his character skill gains +1 power. It may be used as a bonus action. Bonus attack, or bonus action, flip this over. That's the first time we've seen that either. We've seen stuff where you gain +1 power, but not specifically to their character power. So that's kind of fun as well. So that way he can keep using his bomb even easier, because you'll gain 1 regular power, plus you'll gain 1 for that, so you can use this for free and it doesn't kill him. That's a fun character. I can see that being really interesting to play. Alright, then let's hop into our first variant. So now we're done with regular, brand new characters. We're going to start looking at variants. So we're going to start with Trapjaw. So we have Bounty Hunter Trapjaw. So lore-wise, before he became Trapjaw, he was a bounty hunter. He was after, I believe, Skeletor before he became Skeletor. Accidents happened. Skeletor basically shattered his jaw. I know that's why he has the metal jaw on there. I don't remember if the metal arm was part of it or not, but he has a switchable arm. So, like, his other miniature has different arms. I think I can grab it here. If he's right on the top. Yeah, so there's that. It's essentially the same pose. They just swapped out his blaster arm for his claw arm on the side. A little bit different pose. He's leaning back a little bit more, kind of like he's aiming. Now, I'm almost surprised they didn't then release a third version where he has his grabber arm as well. Kind of glad they didn't. Like I said in the variants for the heroes, I'm glad they didn't do it. Like, having a variant here or there is interesting. I think he's kind of supposed to be the opposite of, like, Man-at-Arms for having an alternate. The support character, techie support character. But I'm glad they didn't make a ton of variants of characters. I'd rather have newer people. Alright, so Bounty Hunter Trapjaw has three melee attack claw. When enemies adjacent space moves, perform one claw attack targeting them. If they suffer wounds, they do not move. And then he has Bounty Hunter. At the start of the round, name one enemy character. Bounty Hunter Trapjaw may reroll any attack dice when attacking that character. So that's pretty cool. So he gets extra attack if he's targeting a specific character. Then let's look at his regular version, just to see what the differences are. So we have one less health and he gains defense. Gains a melee attack instead of a ranged attack. And he gains the ability to do extra damage instead of gaining defense. So it's kind of the differences between their basic stats, just in case you were wondering. Alright, then let's look at our other side here. Controller side. Took this down a little bit. There we go. Reaction for claw. Enemy adjacent moves one space. Perform claw attack. If suffer wounds, they do not move. And then Bounty Hunter. Name a character. May reroll any attack dice. Empowered. Bounty Hunter Trapjaw rolls +2 attack dice against his bounty he is attacking. Nice. So right now he only has claw. Or in this form he only have claw, so he can just do that, but he gains extra amount for doing that. Then his AI version is claw again. And reconstruct. Heal 2 and gain 2 power. Very interesting. Yeah, for an AI character, just to gain extra 2 power when he only has one skill that costs 1 energy. But I guess he could keep multiple guys around? Not really sure on why they did it that way. Alright, let's look at his abilities, or his skill cards. Take a closer look at that miniature. Yeah, well, very much like the old one. He's got his claw, his hook. So again, it's weird though, they keep giving him the claw attack. Yet he has the hook on, not the claw. Unless that's the grabber. I guess maybe that's the grabber and the claw. Why don't they call it a hook attack? Give him a bounty hunter the hooker attack, I guess. I don't know. I would have called it a hook and not a claw. But that's just me. Alright, he has power reserves. Action, gain 2 power. Bonus, flip this skill over. Alright, so he's going to keep gaining power, or he has his grabber, which he can use. 3 rank, if this wounds an enemy, may push that enemy into the closest space adjacent to Trapjaw Bounty Hunter, flip the skill over. So he uses grabber to pull them towards him to do the claw damage. I think the original one had very similar abilities. Frantic. 4 melee. For each Gray Skull, gain 1 success. If this tails an enemy, Bounty Hunter Trapjaw may either heal 2, move 1 space, or perform 1 free frenzy attack. This frenzy attack may cause additional free frenzy attacks. So he doesn't have an attack called frenzy attack. He has grabber and frantic. Bonus action, flip this skill over. So the other side, frenzy attack, it is not. So I think they messed up on this card and named it the wrong thing. So either the attack should have been frenzy attack, or it should have said frantic. One of the two is wrong. Yeah, because even his other card doesn't have frenzy attack. I'll have to look to see if maybe his other character had a card called frenzy and they just messed up the text. It's very possible. But the idea is I think it's supposed to use another frantic is the idea. Which then could cause additional free attacks. Then we can flip it over. Because I think someone else has Frenzy, which has that ability. Overdrive, Bounty Hunter Trapjaw might suffer 2 wounds instead of paying energy. Each time he uses one of these boosts. Attack boost any attack, roll 2 dice. Reaction, after rolling attack dice, reroll or flip this skill over. Nice, so he can use that to boost up some of his attacks. Cool. You can use it to take damage. Then he has Flamethrower, so he gets a 4 range. This attack hits all enemies within 2 spaces of Bounty Hunter Trapjaw. For each Grayskull plus 1 success, and flip this over. And Freeze Ray, 4 range success, they become gauge. For each Grayskull, they lose 1 power, flip this over. So definitely some neat things, but yeah, he doesn't use Bounty Hunter enough. Like, if you're going to give him the name Bounty Hunter, give him a Bounty Hunt ability, it would have been better if more of his attacks revolved around that. Like, they did extra damage for having a bounty on them, or they did something different, or like, hey, if he has a bounty on that character, they get a roll 1 extra die, or they get 1 extra damage, or deal 1 extra wound. That would have been better. All his attacks otherwise just seem kind of like normal Trapjaw. Like his... yeah, Grabber just pulls guys towards him. Power Reserve gives him extra ability to use stuff. Yeah, but none of his skills outside of that have anything to do with his Bounty Hunt ability. That's very interesting. Alright, so I had to look this up quick. I don't usually compare all of these abilities, like from one video to the next, but I had to point this out. So his red card is for his basic version. Is Flamethrower and Freeze Ray. So it's the exact same one we have with this character. His middle one, his yellow, he has Overdrive, which is the exact same. And then he has Rocket. So basically he can rocket towards guys instead of having this frantic attack, which has wrong text anyhow. And then his green one, he has Grabber, which he has, and then he has Claw. Which basically he has Claw in his basic attack here, and the other one has Laser Arm, whereas this one has Power Reserves. So he's losing Laser Arm as an overall ability to gain Power Reserves. Otherwise, almost all his attacks are the exact same. They don't utilize that Bounty Hunter ability at all. So I have to honestly say this is probably the most disappointing character I've seen. I'm usually pretty, excited. I usually try and find something interesting about each character, but, the Power Reserve thing is kind of nice because you can use all his bonuses a lot better. But, I mean, the Bounty Hunt's even not that more powerful. He may reroll any attack dice when attacking that character. That's nice, but so many other characters just have an ability where they can pay 1 on an attack to reroll 1. So having an ability where you have to specify a character, and then you have to now go after that character. And it's at the start of the round. So it's not even when he activates, so it makes it even harder. So if, he starts the round, if he, let's say he's standing near He-Man, he's, I'm going to attack He-Man, he selects He-Man. He-Man goes first, He-Man just, you named me, alright. He runs away, and you can't attack him. Now you've wasted your points for your Bounty Hunter for that turn, and I don't know, it's just sort of disappointing for me that that's his, it's kind of like the weakest character I've seen. There wasn't enough changes to realistically make him a separate character. If they would have leaned into that Bounty Hunter form and gave him bonuses for the Bounty Hunt, like I said earlier, it would have been a much better idea. Alright, let's hope we don't have any more. We have 3 characters left to go. We're going to look at some other alternates, which hopefully these guys are a little bit more cool. At least they look more cool. We have Skeletor. Specifically Laserlight Skeletor. Now, I know that when people saw this, they were like, we didn't get the Laserlight version of He-Man, which I get. That would have actually been cool. They would have, made them counteractive, we have this version, we have that version. Because usually whenever there was a special He-Man, there was a special Skeletor made. Then some of the other characters maybe got second versions. But again, this could maybe be something if they do a second set they could make like alternate versions of these guys with their different versions. Alright, but Laser Light Skeletor here, who has this big old tech armor on, and he's wearing a hood. You don't often see Skeletor wearing a hood. And a glowy Havoc Staff. So he has Laser Havoc Staff, does 3 melee or 3 ranged. Attack boost. Instead of dealing wounds to the enemy that loses that much power, and Laser Light Skeleton gains that much power. If the enemy is a minion, the controller must also lose 1 power from the controller board. Attack boost for each Grayskull Castle gain 1 success. Interesting. So you can either just do damage, or you can boost it to stop doing damage, instead steal power. So we'll have to definitely see how that affects his skills. There's a full artwork version of him. Havoc Staff does the same thing there. Then Banish. Push 1 enemy within 4 spaces up to 2 spaces, ignoring terrain penalties. Surge, push them 2 spaces, or Surge, they become dazed. Cool, so get rid of them. And then Empowered. Once per round, you may choose to pay a power cost. Choose to not pay 1 power cost on Laser Light. Oh, cool. So you can get rid of one of the attack boost costs. So either one of them you can make free. So if you're really trying to do damage, you can get rid of your, or make the attack boost for the Grayskull Castle one for free, so you have more successes. Or if you're trying to just get more power, you can do that. Or you can go ahead and turn around and really damage them that way. Interesting. Alright, so we have one more. We have to look at the AI side yet. AI is Havoc Staff, Laser Havoc Staff, and Banish. So the same things as the other ones. I do want to find the base set Skeletor, so we can just try to do a quick comparison on these two before we look at his skills. So of course this is 3 and 3. His regular Havoc Staff is also 3 and 3. He does lose 1 bit of health. But here he has the Master of Evil, which he can Skeletor action in 4 spaces to perform any one action. So this Skeletor here, I guess he's always wearing a hood. Why don't I ever think of him wearing a hood? Maybe it's because the cape is on there that threw me off. That's weird. Like a Mandela type effect. Yeah, so the original one, he's basically like, I'm the leader, I'm still going to possibly help myself out, but I can help my allies if need. This guy's just like, nope, I'm on my own, I'm boosting my own attacks. So let's look at his skills and see what we have. We're going to start with a Laser Beam. Let's look at his miniature. There's a lot of tech. I like the skull on the ground too. That's really neat aesthetic. And has this giant battery backpack, which lights into it. It's funny because you look at it from like the front side or from the artwork. It's almost like, oh, he's got this suit on, kind of armor or whatever, but he has magical powers. He's lighting up the staff. And then you turn him around, as this giant backpack. It's like, oh, no, he's using a backpack to send lasers into his weapon. Gotcha. Alright, his Laser Beam. 3 ranged. Target 1 space within 3 spaces of Laser Light Skeletor. This attack hits all enemies in a line between Laser Light Skeletor and the targeted space. Attack boost. Increase the range of this attack hits by 1 space. So I like that. So he shoots in a straight line and he hits everybody. So if enemies are lined up, that could be really useful. Especially staying like at a ruin where there's only 1 or 2 exits. And then Eye Laser. 3 range as well. Enemies wounded by this attack become dazed. Attack boost. Target any enemy on the battlefield regardless of range and line of sight. Cool. So he can either attack multiple enemies in a line, or he can attack 1 enemy but he doesn't care where. That's really fun. And then he gains Banish. So we've seen this on the other card. Push 1 enemy within 4 spaces up to 2 spaces away, ignoring terrain penalties. Push 2 and then become dazed. So he's all ranged. I mean, he does have some melee with his Havoc staff, but the rest of his abilities are all ranged. So he's really good at range. He can keep banishing, pushing people away from him, so he doesn't have to deal with their ranged abilities or their melee. And then imbued power. Bonus action, one ally within 2 spaces heals 2 and gains 1 power. Surge target allies, all allies within 2 spaces. That's cool. So he keeps a ability to like support his troops, which is really fun. You don't think of Skeletor as being the guy to help out his team, but he's definitely doing that. His last one, he has Empower Armor. Defense boon against 1 or 2 shields. The attacker becomes dazed, and then you can flip this skill over. So you can gain bonuses. And then we have Attack Boost, roll 2 dice. Reaction, after rolling the attack dice, re-roll any dice, and then flip this skill over. Cool. So whichever way you need to do. So he's kind of neat, because he becomes almost like a support character. Like, he's going to hang back, and he's going to do range damage, push guys away, heal allies, or he's going to boost his own attacks by gaining extra power, so then he can just turn around and boost his own attacks. By sapping power from other players and stuff. So like, he can definitely do some damage, but he's not like the focal leader point. That's kind of cool. It's a different take on Skeletor. Alright. Now, we do have one more Skeletor, so he's the only guy that gets 2 alternates. He-Man kind of did with Hero and Grayskull, King Grayskull, but they're technically not the same characters. But we have this, so we have Terror Claw Skeletor, who has 8 health, much like his regular one. And again, they had I don't remember what he was called, like Metal, maybe it was like Metal Fist or something like that, but they had a He-Man that had these big giant powered hands too, so again, they could have made an alternate version of that as well. But he has reaction. After rolling attack dice, reroll any dice. Attack boost for each wound dealt, heal 1. And then Claw Frenzy. Reaction. After Terror Claw Skeletor's attack, he may move up to 2 spaces, then perform 1 Terror Claw's attack. That's cool. So you can get running, you can heal people and or not heal. You can damage people and then heal himself. He also has Terror Claws. For each wound dealt, deal 1 damage, or becomes a bonus action. And Horrify. You can see on somebody else as well. KO all minions within 2 spaces of Terror Claw. I think it was, I want to say Hordak, it might have been. No, Snakeface. Bet you that's where it was. KO all minions within 2 spaces of Terror Claw Skeletor. Push all enemy characters up to 2 spaces away. Which is interesting. He's going to push guys away when he's a melee character. Empowered. Each time an enemy character is KO'd, Terror Claw Skeletor may perform 1 attack. Wow, so he can KO all minions, and then he also gets a free attack for that. That's pretty nuts. Alright, then let's look at his AI version. Terror Claws. For each wound dealt, heal 1. After it performs an additional attack, cannot generate power or horrify. All enemies in 2 spaces become dazed. Lose 1 energy. If they cannot, they gain 1 wound. Terror Claw Skeletor gains this energy. So now you might be like, well, it doesn't say it kills minions, but he does, because minions can't gain power, so they'll automatically take 1 wound, which will KO every single minion. I don't think any minion, even elite minions, I don't think any of them have 2 health. I might be wrong. There might be one of the elites that has 2 health. I don't remember off the top of my head. So this is a straight up just melee Skeletor, so we'll see what all his abilities do, his skills. Let's take a closer look at this monster. I like his battle armor, but it looks like he's just wearing a crop top hoodie. Like, hey, I'm going to the gym, guys. But yeah, there we go. So big old giant nasty claws. So it's basically like, I think I'm not anywhere near positive. My guess though is that the whole point of this is at some point his staff got broke and he needed or broke or lost or stolen or something. He needed something to counter, so he got these giant claws. So he could also go melee with He-Man. Alright, so his Rending Claws. Attack boosting or defense for each Grayskull, gain 1 success. Nice, not bad at all. Boost up his Terror Claws attack. Or he gets his Horrify ability, KO all minions. and push all character away 2 spaces. So that could definitely help you. He has separate attacks and he pushes guys away. So interesting. He also has teleport. Target 1 spaces and 4 spaces, then place Terraclaw Skeletor and all allies in 4 spaces of him in that space or adjacent to any space. Up to this point, I've always just viewed teleport as being a way to like get around enemies. Like, hey, I can teleport and get away from an enemy they're trying to kill me, or I can get closer to an objective quicker. Now I'm thinking about this in the other way of teleporting next to an enemy. You can use your melee attack, which is really cool. Or he has Life Siphon. So he has 4 melee, 4 range. For each wound dealt, Terraclaw Skeletor or an ally in 4 spaces heals 1. And then he gets attack boost. If this KOs an enemy, Terraclaw Skeletor and 1 ally in 4 spaces may perform 1 move action. Interesting. So I'm kind of... Alright, then we also have Unlimited Power. This still gains 3. When unlocked, Terraclaw Skeleton gains 1 energy or 1 power per anytime a model within 4 spaces is killed. Any model. That's the keyword there. Not just his teammates, but any model. And then reaction. After rolling attack dice, reroll any dice. For each Gray Skull, gain 1 success. Bonus action, heal 3. Alright, and if we flip this one over, we get Shadow Walk. At the start of the round, place Terraclaw Skeletor adjacent to any enemy on the battlefield. Place Terraclaw Skeletor adjacent to any enemy character on the battlefield. We've seen these abilities before, some of these, but they're repeating. So now here's one thing I do want to point out. So, like, I just crapped all over Trapjaw. Old Skeletor also has unlimited power, but instead of Shadow Walk, he has Panther. So he gains a different type of movement. Panther gives him extra attack and extra dice and becomes dazed. This just gives him the ability to get near guys, which is really good for his power attack. His yellow, he has Teleport and Life Siphon, same as this one. So that's the same, but his first ability is completely different. He had Havoc Jolt and Havoc Blast. He had additional ranged or melee attack, whereas this one gains an attack boost and the ability to scare guys away. So, his Terror Claws is just meant to do damage. So he has other abilities to either get guys there, or he has something a little bit different. Yes, he shares some of the same abilities, but so did alternate He-Man and alternate other characters like that. Man-at-Arms and stuff. They had similar abilities, and I don't have a problem if some of their abilities are shared, because his other abilities on here that he does have really work well. He has an attack boost. They could have been, if they would have given him, instead of Horrify or attack boost, they would have just given him another attack or a ranged attack. I'd be like, why does he have a ranged attack? He's a melee character. That's the whole point of him. Or the fact that he can use Shadow Meld to like get near guys, that works out really well too. But yeah, so they kind of complement his new abilities he has on his base card. Where Trapjaw just didn't have that. They just swapped his base ability with one of his cards. And then they gave him basically all the same abilities. Alright, we have one last character. And then we are done with the Stretch Goal box. Who's our last character? Technically, he's not an alt, but he is the Faker. So if you want to play as He-Man versus He-Man, here you go. The blue Faker. So he has 1 in 7. Replica Power Sword does 3 damage. Attack boost, roll 2 damage and ignore a dice. And Imposter. This bonus action may be performed multiple times per activation. Bonus skills flip over one of Faker's skills. So he can just turn around and use all his skills multiple times. So I do want to do a quick comparison to He-Man, if I can find him, just to see what your differences are. So He-Man has no defense, but he has 10 health. So there's a 7 health difference. Then the Power Sword, both 3 melee, but He-Man does 3 guys. Faker's only does 2, but he does ignore defense. So it's not nearly as bad either. Then he also has the ability to flip his skills over, which you'll see how important that is. And I'm not going to compare the rest of their decks to each other. I just want to point out those ones. Controller, Replica Power Sword, 2 guys sitting our defense, and Deceive. Target enemy within 4 spaces. Perform 1 move and 1 other action with that enemy. That action does not cost power, cannot be boosted, and can treat all models as either allies or enemies. Oh, that's cool. So he can target with whatever he wants. So if he has an action that does damage, he could force someone else to attack one of their attack an ally or an enemy, or he could use a boost ability on him or one of his teammates. Cool. So and then each time Faker activates, he heals 1. So that kind of goes with that He-Man getting that ability to heal with Indomitable. He just gets it in his controller form. And then his AI form says Replica Power Sword stays the same, and Deceive stays basically the same. Target enemy within 4 spaces with the strongest attack. They perform 1 move action towards their closest allies. After they move their allies within range of the attack, they perform their strongest possible attack. Otherwise, they take 1 additional move action. Oh, that's crazy. Alright, then let's look at his skills and his miniature. I do like that his miniature is kind of hunched over and not like in the I have the power stance. Like He-Man, because I would have, if they would have almost made him identical, that would have been funny. But I'm glad it's a different pose. And he's got like this Skeletor armor on. Alright, let's look at his skills. We have Throw, which we've seen a bunch of times. Push enemy wounded up to this attack by 2 spaces. If the enemy enters adjacent to an enemy, perform a 3 range attack on that target to not generate power. I'm the hero of Eternia. Attack boost. Attacker must reroll any success. Sorry, defense boost. Attacker must reroll any successes. And surge. Attacker suffers 1 wound for each miss. Now he has the ability to flip these around, so he can use this. If he doesn't want to throw people, he can have his defense sitting out. Then he has Earth Shatter, which I think He-Man also has. 4 melee, target space within 2 spaces of Faker. Hits all enemies in a line between Faker and targeted space. Target space within 4 spaces instead, and they can become dazed. Or we can flip it over, and we gain Fake Out. After being attacked, Faker becomes dazed. At the start of his activation, he stops being dazed. While he's dazed, he cannot be attacked. Surge, heal 2. Interesting. And then we have I Have Your Power. For the first time Faker activates each round, his character gains 2 powers. Action, all enemies within 2 spaces suffer 2 wounds, become dazed. Surge just becomes a bonus action. And if we flip it over, he has Deceive. Target 1 enemy within 4 spaces. Perform 1 move and 1 other action with that enemy. Action does not cost power, but cannot be boosted, and can treat all models as enemies or allies or enemies. So this is kind of fun, because he gains these abilities to like trick and manipulate the other characters on the board, but then he can flip over and have other abilities that are basically He-Man's abilities. And then his imposter ability on his main character card lets you switch them multiple times. So you can use either one, deceive someone, move them, and you can flip it back over to use the other one. So that's a really fun, different miniature. Alright, that is what we have for the Masters of the Universe board game, Box of Power, all 5 videos. Check out the other expansions of the Horde, Snake Men, She-Ra, if you haven't checked them out. Hopefully you've already checked out the base game video before checking out this, as well as the other video and all the other Kickstarter exclusive content, which are all the non-game stuff, like non-figure stuff. So we'll do that video as well. See you guys later. Bye.